Good morning. I just returned from London and Oxford Interfaith Retreat. In this retreat, we used inner voice as interfaith dialogue. As we discussed about our inner voice, I thought right thought is critically important. So this morning, I will focus on right thought, the second aspect of a Eightfold Path of a Four Noble Truths. With a right view and right thought is a path to cultivate wisdom so we can see our own Buddha nature. Buddha said we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thought. With our thought, we create our world. So if you understand this simple principle, we are what we think, it is critical to look at our thought and be present with our own thought. We have inner voices and inner noisy all the time. And this inner noisy reflected in outer world. People are constantly talking. There's a lot of noisy we create. And from TV, radio, car, MP3, airplane, even air conditioning. These noises distract us and taking our time and energy. So when we have too much distraction in our lives, it makes us very tired and exhausted. When we have a retreat in Pocono Mountain, a student came to me and told me that she cannot sleep because it's too quiet. Too quiet, and really a quiet place is best for the sound sleep, but they are uncomfortable with a quiet environment or quiet situations. She's not alone. If you look at our world, so many people are uncomfortable with being alone with their own thought, or uneasy with the silence. So we are lucky here to experience this silence and quietude and really see our thought and look at our thought. If we want to reduce suffering and unhappiness in our lives, we must cultivate our thought, because our thought creates everything in our lives. This right thought requires some inner work. If you want to cultivate the right thought, we have to let go negative thought, ill wills or negativity from outer world. To depend on your thought and state of your mind, you become happy person or a miserable person. You can become a successful person or a failure. So how much do you spend time on your thought and watching your thought? And what kind of thoughts are dominating in your mind? Buddha said that we are as a result of what we have thought. If a man acts or speaks with an evil thought, pain will follow him. If a man speaks and acts with a pure thought, happiness will follow him, like a shadow will never leave him. Then our thought can create happiness or suffering. Suffering comes from unwholesome and unskillful thought, and happiness comes from skillful and pure and right thought. So in our Buddhist practice, we watch our thought without judging them, without condemning them, without analyzing them, without interfering them. Just to watch our thought arising and passing away. Watching our thought coming and going. This thought cannot change your Buddha nature. Buddha nature is like a sky, a vast sky. thought arise as if a cloud appears and disappears in the sky. There are two kinds of thought. One is a directing thought, which we cultivate during our meditation. During our meditation, we direct our mind and direct our thought to rest in our lower center. Most of the time, but we do not have a directed thought. Normally, we have a wandering thought. The second types of thought. We have this random, scattered thought appears and disappears and make stories and replay what had happened in the past. So this wandering thought and directed thought in our mind, when we have a special task to do, then our will directing our thought in a particular direction. And as soon as you finish your task, the wandering thought coming back. So the more you have a particular thought you think, the more it will occur. If you think about negativity and problems and complaining and upset and people who make you upset all the time, you become a negative person. But if you think about compassion and loving kindness, people who gave you the compassionate loving kindness, then you become a more compassionate person and act with a more compassionate manner. So therefore, right thought is not allowing negative thought persisting in your mind, but to cultivate right thought or compassion and wisdom and serenity. Right thought is a thought of non-attachment, of craving, or loving kindness and compassion. In Buddhism, there are three kinds of thought. The first right thought is a thought of a renunciation. Renunciation means resisting to craving or clinging. Right thought requires a wholesome state of mind and renunciating from craving. So what does a renunciating and what does a renunciation mean to you? Renunciation means giving up something, or letting go of something, or reject something. So what do we give up in our practice? We give up craving for sense pleasure. What do we let go? We let go of attachment to material things and sense pleasure. What do you reject? We reject to be selfish, reject to be ignorant, reject continuation of suffering with the egocentric thinking. The right thought of a renunciation involves the willingness to relinquish, to let go any state of mind that hinder the progress on the path of awakening. So to practice renunciation doesn't mean that you have to give up your family, possession, and your occupation and go to the mountain cave. But renunciation means non-attachment to those things. The second is a thought of goodwill, which counteract with the evil will. Sotaesan said, the method for remaining free of attachment to hatred or love depends on knowing how to redirect your thought well. Presume that someone hates me. Instead of hating the other person, first consider the fundamental cause. If I did something to warrant being hated, then I should work hard to rectify it. If I didn't do anything, then I should just receive it serenely, knowing that this is due to karma accumulated in past lives. At the same time, considering that I feel bad when someone hates me, I must make my mind not to hate anybody. If I can do this, the person who hates me become a teacher who teaches the Dharma of how to use my mind. When I recognize that person as my teacher, how would any thought of hatred arise in me? This is the method of not being attached to hatred. End quote. Right thought cultivate compassion, loving kindness, altruism, and goodwill toward others. We choose to let go negativity, ill will, envy, jealousy, and bad thought. Another word for goodwill is a loving kindness. We as Buddhists cultivate loving kindness every day to ourselves, to life around us, to our society, to our world. Right thought is cultivating this loving kindness for all beings and overcome anger, hatred, ill will, and aversion. Right thought means forgiving others rather than hating others. Right thought is accepting and being grateful for what we have rather than complaining and resentful for what we don't have. So right thought choose to understand instead of judging them. We can learn from our mistake and forgive ourselves and move on. Some people in our society are bitter, so unhappy about the life and express negativity and problems or ill will all the time. They complain about everything and everyone, but the complaining makes them unwillingly create more negativity for themselves and become a vicious circle. So we need to reduce the amount of negativity we will tolerate. Every day we bombarded by negative message from outer world. According to a statistic, an average American receives more than 1,000 negative messages every day. You are constantly hearing that you are not doing enough, not good enough, constantly persuading you you have a better car or better house or a larger room or better skin product, or you should switch your clothing and so forth. So it's critical to ask ourselves how to eliminate these negative messages in order to raise the satisfaction level of our life. We have to let go of these negativity from outside, from advertisement, and coming from outer world. The third is the thought of a non-harming or non-violence, which counteract the thought of harming others. Non-harming requires compassion and loving kindness. It goes beyond simply not harming, but to cultivate active sympathy and willingness to bear pains of others. This is the right thought in Buddhism. The thought of non-violence are opposed to cruelty. Not causing harm means not hurting others, not killing others, not being aggressive with our own thoughts, our own words, and our own actions. We have to learn not to cause any harm to us and to others. The right thoughts emphasize cultivation of goodwill, the thought of loving kindness, thought of gratitude, and joy and letting go. The right thought is commitment to nonviolence toward us and other living beings. The most harm we can do to ourselves is remain ignorant and being lazy to study our mind and cultivate right thought. Our thought attracts like-minded people and situation, both positive and negative, into our lives. So like attract like, hatred attract other hatred, compassion attract compassion. So we have to cultivate positive thinking and focus on blessings we have in our lives, rather than complaining about the lacking in our lives. We need to cultivate attitude of gratitude rather than resentment. In this 21st century, with the material abundance and so much advanced technology, we have a wealth on earth. We have more awakened people on earth, more caring people on earth. Everything is much better at this time, but people do not have a gratitude and express that appreciation. Rather, they are resentful and complaining. So if you summarize whole teachings of one Buddhism into one word, that is gratitude. Always have gratitude coming from whole world, and gratitude coming from people and coming from Dharma. So if we understand how grateful we are and sustain our life in this way with the heaven and earth, parents, or living beings and Dharma, we can express more appreciation and more gratitude in our daily life. So due to the karma, what you send out comes back multiplied many times over. So in conclusion, right thought is a letting go of your attachment or craving or greed, and cultivate thought of a loving kindness and thought of nonviolence. So right thought develops our inner freedom from suffering by transforming ourselves. In order to transform ourselves, we need the right thought and right intention first in our mind, which lead to the wisdom of our Buddha nature. So in one Buddhism, this right thought and right view are summarized in number 2 of essential dharmas of daily practice. Let us maintain wisdom of our Buddha nature so that we may be free from delusion at all times, in all places. So let us focus on right thought in the coming week and cultivate right thought and nourish positive thinking with more compassion, more loving kindness, and practicing nonviolence in our thinking first, and letting go of negativity, letting go of craving, letting go of attachment. So it is possible to make a better world by transforming our thought first, beginning in our mind, and that right thought practice in our life, and that right thought practice in our relationship with the life around you. So we can improve the quality of our life and the quality of our thought and quality of our relationship and live well. So cultivating right thought is a critical first step in our mind to live better.